So this is chapter 19, lesson 2, all about triangles. And your learning goal today is to be able to classify triangles in 2 different ways and find missing angle measures. Okay. So, first of all, what is a triangle? What is a triangle? Shelley? It's not just a shape, it's what's a more mathematical term for shape? Starts with a P. Sakshi? Yes, it's a polygon with 3 sides. How many corners does it have? How many angles does it have? So 3 edges, or 3 sides, 3 corners, and 3 angles. Okay, we talked about this a little bit last week when we were talking about angles. What is the sum of the angles in this triangle? So how many angles are there in this triangle? Here's one angle, here's another angle, and here's the third angle. So how many angles are there?
3.
3. And when it says, what is the sum, what does that mean? What does it mean by finding a sum? What do you do to find a sum? Michaela?
You add.
Yeah, so we're going to add up all 3 angles. And what would the sum of all 3 angles in this triangle be? Go ahead and tell your partner.
180.
So the sum of the 3 angles in a triangle is always 180 degrees. Okay? Very good. So could these 3 angles, 45 degrees, 100 degrees, and 65 degrees, could that equal the 3 angles of a triangle?
No, because already 60 plus 40 equals 10.
60 plus
Plus
60 plus 40 equals
4 is 10, and then when you add the zeros back, that's 100.
Mhm.
So 100 plus 100 is 200.
Ah.
Too much already for
So 100 plus 100 is already too much. So if I added 45 plus 65 plus 100, how much does that equal total? Noi?
210.
210 degrees. Can the 3 angles of a triangle be 210 degrees?
No,
No, it's too
It needs to be how much?
exactly 180.
I love the way Nadia said exactly 180, because can it be 179?
No,
Can it be 181 degrees?
no.
It needs to be exactly 180. So this cannot be a triangle, can it? Okay, good. Now, let's talk about different types of triangles. So there's 2 different ways you can classify triangles. One way you can classify a triangle is by the lengths of their sides. And I want to make sure you write this down because this is very important. And I think you've learned this before, so this should be a review. An equilateral triangle is when all 3 sides of the triangle have the same length. You can see that this right here is an equilateral triangle because each side is how long?
3 inches.
Yes. One side is 3 inches, the second side is 3 inches, and the third side is 3 inches. When all 3 sides of a triangle are the same length, it's called a what kind of triangle?
Equilateral.
Equilateral triangle. Swati, are you writing this down? Oh, are you sure? Make sure your pencil is moving. Okay. When all 3 sides of the triangle are the same, it's called an?
Equilateral triangle.
Very good. The second kind of triangle is called an isosceles triangle. Okay. That's when 2 sides are the same length. You can see here in this triangle, this side is 5 centimeters, and this side is 5 centimeters. Is the third side 5 centimeters?
No.
So when only 2 sides are the same length, it's called an
Isosceles.
isosceles triangle. Let's say it together. Isosceles triangle. The third kind of triangle is called a scalene triangle. And that's when no 2 sides are the same length. You'll see here you have one side that's 2 feet, one side that's 4 feet, and one side that's 5 feet. Are any of those sides the same length? So when no sides are the same length, it's called a scalene triangle. You can also classify triangles not only by the lengths of their sides, but also by their angle measures. Okay? Now, just to remind ourselves, the sum of the angle measures in any triangle is how much?
180.
Okay. So you can have a right triangle where you have one right angle. And we talked about this a little bit last week, right?
Yes.
A right triangle has how many right angles?
1.
Is it possible for a triangle to have more than one right angle?
No.
Thank you. Okay. An acute angle an acute triangle has 3 acute angles. Okay. And finally, an obtuse triangle has 1 obtuse angle. Is it possible? What is an obtuse angle? An obtuse angle needs to be greater than how much?
90 degrees.
An obtuse angle needs to be greater than 90 degrees. So is it possible for a triangle to have more than 1 obtuse angle? Why not? Why not? Christian?
Well, if a right triangle can't have more than one right angle, an obtuse angle is more than 90 degrees, so it's obviously not.
And so let's go back to that. How come a triangle cannot have more than 1 right angle? Kevin?
Because, like, the max, I guess, degrees it can have is 180.
Uh-huh.
And 90 plus 90 is 180, but that's not a closed triangle.
Yeah, because a triangle needs to have how many angles?
3.
And if I do 90 plus 90, that uses up all the degrees already before I can have another angle, right? Okay, so turn to your neighbor and tell them the 3 ways to classify based on the lengths of the sides.
Equilateral, right